Today, analog equivalent rights under attack again as the Pirate Bay domain is challenged. What happens when street addresses are attacked at intermediaries and messengers? Your host is Rick Falkvinger, and this is Liberties Report.
This report is presented by Private Internet Access.
Good evening and welcome to Liberties Report Week 17, 2015. Today, April 27 and April 28, there are negotiations in the District Court of Stockholm regarding the piratebay.se, the domain name, which brings us directly back to the concept of analog equivalent rights and how old guard industries are attacking the internet head-on. Because what's interesting about this particular case in the District Court is that the copyright industry is not attacking the Pirate Bay directly. The copyright industry is attacking the Internet Infrastructure Foundation in Sweden, which manages domain names for Sweden. So it's about the domain name, the piratebay.se, which is at stake here, and which is what the case is about. This is very interesting, and it has great cause for concern. It's becoming easier to attack intermediaries than it is to actually go after the ones that you deem have done something wrong. Regardless of what you think about the Pirate Bay and their legality, the Pirate Bay is not involved in this case. The copyright industry is suing the domain registry for Sweden. Doing an analog equivalent here, imagine if you had a criminal of some sort, doesn't matter which, and those who felt slighted was suing the city planning council to have their street address revoked. This is what's happening here. Imagine if somebody didn't like the fact that fraud was taking place over mail and was suing the postal service for delivering sealed letters. That's what's happening here. The copyright industry, and many others, I must add, are starting to attack intermediaries, pushing very, very hard to create an intermediary liability. And that threatens the very concept of intermediaries. And let me explain why. There's something called a messenger immunity. The messenger immunity can be traced back to the Roman Empire, and it means that the messenger is never responsible for the contents of a sealed letter or a carried message. Because if a messenger is responsible, the messenger will refuse to carry a message. Therefore, if you wanted the intermediary infrastructure at all, you had to make sure that it was immune to responsibility, to liability, for whatever it carried, and that the original sender was always liable. This is what the copyright industry and the cartoon industry, I should say, because Disney Corporation is at the head of these monkeys, is attacking head-on. And imagine the result. If you lost the messenger immunity, you would only have a few sources of entertainment left because nobody would dare carry anything because they might be liable for it. What would remain would be Comcast, Disney, and Time Warner. So it's not hard to see why Disney is fighting so hard for this. What's concerning is why nobody else is getting the picture. Why the old policymakers aren't even raising an eyebrow at the concept of suing a city council or suing a city planning council to revoke a street address. Analog equivalent rights are under attack, have been under attack for quite some time. And this is about an industry, the copyright industry, who will go as far as others will allow them. They will never stop. They've shown that time and time again. They will not stop until the internet is entirely under their control. And unless you see that as a favorable outcome, you need to shut them down, and shut them down hard. Analog equivalent rights are the ones we inherited from our parents, and it is the set of civil liberties we need to pass on to our children. We owe that to our children and to our parents, frankly. This is nothing new. People have been attacking intermediaries before. There was a case in World War II when certain unpalatable newspapers were being printed, and you couldn't ban their printing, so instead you banned their transport. Again, you attacked the intermediaries. There was something learned from that particular mistake, which happened in Sweden, though, and that was a result of that was that newspapers carrying, or rather rail transport, because this was about rail transport is immune to what it's carrying, even if that content is obviously illegal. The messenger immunity stands even if the content is obviously illegal. That is a very high legal bar, and that is where we need to go. That is the analog equivalent right, and that is where we need to return. We'll see how this case in the Swedish District Court turns out. Sweden has not shown its best face in understanding what the internet is about, after all, in particular not its court system. I'm Rick Falkfinger, and this is Liberties Report. Visit our sponsor, Private Internet Access. Good night.
This report is presented by Private Internet Access.
Liberties Report is produced using exclusively free software.